In this video, I have a great conversation with a friend of mine, Christos, who I've mentored within the mindset realm. And he's a Chicago police officer who's also navigating, trying to find true love. And so we talk all about him stepping into the space and then what it means to have this mindset tool and utilization practices and all that stuff to kind of input both in his personal life and his professional life, how he's excelled and experienced a tremendous transformation, and now how he's investing that in trying to create the opportunity to experience a loving relationship. Let's have a look. All right, my friend. So tell everybody your name and a little bit about yourself.
Uh, my name is Christos. I'm a born and raised Chicago kid. Grew up on the north side my entire life. Went to a Catholic school. And then I'm back in taking online courses right now. Um, I'm dating a beautiful girl that's 35 years old, and everything's been going as smooth as you can possibly imagine. So some good things. My health overall hasn't been better. So my entire life. I feel energetic. I feel a lot of love from my family, from friends around, and life is good. Now, it
What do you
took
do
me
for a
some time
living?
to get here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So, what do you do for a living?
I am a Chicago police officer.
Awesome.
I've been on the force for about 7 years right now. I worked in the 18th district for about 3 years, and about 3.5 years ago, a big boss, deputy chief, also a friend, asked me to come work for him directly, and I've been with him since. So,
Awesome. You know, you did an intro just now, and I can tell it felt good to introduce yourself and say all those things, didn't it?
oh yeah,
And I want to ask you, so Christos and I have worked together. We were in the bar scene together. We had mutual friends, high school and stuff. We kind of go way back. We knew of each other and we were like cool and chill and would see each other out. We didn't really know each other. And then I don't know, he did some kind of post, something, and something came into my mind. I was like, this guy needs to talk to you. And I reached out and it was just this serendipitous, really like, God sent time. And I said, listen, this is what I do. I'm like, it's kind of hard to describe, but I help mindset and spirituality and I teach people this stuff. And this is what I do for a living. And, I'd like to help you. Can you allow me to help you? And we worked together for a while. And that's what I want you to introduce. That's who I want you to introduce now. Who would you have said you are 2, 3 years ago before we started working together? How would you have introduced that guy?
someone not as happy, kind of just get my words out just to get them out. No sincerity, no love behind it. Um, Felt sorry for myself. Sometimes maybe I felt like I was the victim all the time. Um, like I don't even like thinking about that person that I was, 3, 4 years ago. I don't. It's it's humbling to know that there is hope and that you can get over what you're going through. So
And that man was just a byproduct of his conditioning. You weren't taught how to be that way. You were molded. You were, created to be that way. And that's why we did such great stuff together because I go, we can recreate you. You can recreate you. I'll be the signpost, but you're going to put in the steps. You're going to ascend. And so talk a little bit about that because, man, you just described two very different people, right? And think about that. Like if somebody just stopped the podcast and then heard the second intro, they'd be like, oh, he's obviously talking about his evil twin brother, right? Or his nemesis,
yeah.
right? Very different personalities and, of course, different perspectives. Did that man have, a loving relationship? Did he have as much care for what he did? He was still a police officer. Was his health, his relationships, obviously from what you're talking about, they were probably much different in in that respect because the external circumstance reflects the internal state of being. So there was probably some big kind of voids and obstacles in your life at that time, right?
There was. Work was going okay. I just wasn't really happy where I was because of a lot of nonsense that goes on. I'm sure many other police stations and, you know, counties and whatever it is. But then I started dating this girl, and she to me was like the dream girl. You know, she was
Mhm.
Greek too. Beautiful girl. She's also an officer. We started dating and we kept it very low key. Um, about a month or two into the relationship, you know, I'm fighting this urge because I'm like, I don't want to be with her. There's something off. Something's not right. Something's not clicking here. So I started to get a little distant, and then she started to get a little distant, and she just pulled the plug on me one day. And she's like, "This is not going anywhere. I'm not happy." I tried to convince her and trying to get her back into my
Charm and
yeah,
yeah.
back into my life, and she did the best thing she could have done for me. I didn't know it at the time, but she cut me off cold turkey. No other girl's ever done that to me. And it spun me so bad that I was kind of losing my mind. Now, it wasn't her. It was in the mindset that I was from previous relationships that I thought I had changed and grown, and I haven't. I was taking my old traits of when I was younger and why I was dating a girl because she's hot, because I had fun with her, but there was no substance behind it. It was just, we're just there hanging out. There was no thought of like future. There was no thought of family. There's none of that stuff. It was just pure fun,
No depth.
having fun,
Yep. Mhm.
no depth at all. So the biggest pain in my life that I've always felt has turned out to some of the greatest situations. And this is one of them because
Yeah.
I made a post, you reached out, and I remember the conversation we had. I started crying. I just started bawling uncontrollably, and I didn't understand where that was coming. And I was on the phone with you, and you actually walked me through how to get myself better, change my mindset, and get into a better mind flow. So thank you for that.
I'll send you the invoice for it, okay?
Yeah.
Uh, and then what happened? Like, what would you say if you're describing the work you did and everything that changed in your life? Like, not that you have to make it an elevator speech, but like summarize that. It can be as long about it as you want. But what would you say is the big differentiating factor between old you and new you, and how did that come about?
One, understanding that I needed a change. I didn't like the way I was thinking. I didn't like the way I was feeling. I didn't like where my head was at. Now, I'm happy with my job. I'm happy with myself. My health is all that, but there was something lacking in my life. And that situation brought me to wanting to change. I thought about it, and
Mm.
I don't know how this became, but you coming into my life helped me grow as an individual, see things differently, feel a certain way spiritually. I'll tell you one thing. I was looking for a condo for the very longest time, right? I was looking to move out. I was living with my mom for 5 years because I got into a situation. I'm very grateful that she was able to take me in. But I remember walking to the condo that I'm sitting in right now, and it was an instant feeling of this place is mine. From that moment on, I don't know what the word is, but I felt like I was on cloud nine. Anything that needed to go my way was going my way. And how was that happening? I didn't let anything else dictate the way I was thinking. I don't care if it was the worst situation, not a problem. Let's figure out a solution. So I didn't live in the misery or dwelling on the negative. So immediately something happened, we have to take care of it right away. And that just started building more and more character. And then friends are coming over, helping me rip down the walls. And a carpenter came in here, ended up fixing everything for me at a great price. I redid the whole condo the way I wanted it. So all these great things came about from changing my mindset with your help.
It's incredible the power that it has. Like you just don't really know until you know that when it's not like it happens day one. It takes a little bit of momentum, but dude, you hit the nail on the head. Tony Robbins has a great quote where he says, change basically doesn't happen until the fear of this staying the same is greater than the fear of change. And that's where you were. You were at this crossroads. That's where I was. I remember being on a bed in Bolivia with being super sick and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I cannot live this way anymore. Like, I don't know what I need to do, but I know I can't do what I'm doing. And that's where the journey starts is now I have to figure out a new way to live. And that's exactly what happened to you. You just kind of were humbled by life. And that's what I think anybody faces is like this big obstacle, this huge downfall, this horrible season. And it just goes, you know, I thought I had life figured out kind of, and I don't. I
Yeah.
really don't know what the hell I'm doing
No.
because I don't know where to go from here. I don't know how I got here. I don't know if I can get myself out. And so I need to start figuring some shit out pretty quickly here to make a change. And so like again, you just said the first thing that will ever happen for people to transform or experience a mind shift or just change significantly is that they need to want to change. Because if it's not there, nothing's going to happen. And that's why so many people read all the self-help books and they do this and they get the course and this, but they don't really want to change. They want an easy like solution, but life hasn't gotten hard enough, hasn't crushed their spirits enough to be like, now you have to change. It's not like I want to dabble in this and kind of check this out and do that. It's like I'm either living or dying on this sword, man. Like I'm either gonna throw in the towel or I'm gonna make a big fucking change and I'm gonna get myself out of here. And that's where you were. And I commend you because it kind of is the hardest part of the journey to kind of say out loud and to agree that I don't have this figured out.
I mean, you make yourself vulnerable, and it's okay to ask for help, and you're not supposed to know everything, you know? In life, believe it or not, there's more people that would want to help you than
Yeah.
not help you,
Yeah.
you know? So I knew that there was something, I knew that I could have a better life, better mindset, attract love into my life. Like I knew there was more to that, but for some reason I was keeping it up. Wait, I had like a wall up. That wall just kept everybody from getting close to me. Um, Nobody could get close to me. I didn't want to open up. I wasn't vulnerable with anyone.
No authentic
And
relationships, no depth, because
no,
you were putting on the facade of I'm a guy who's tough. I got it all figured out. Life is great. And inside, it is like the complete opposite of that, wasn't it?
but
And that's what a lot of people do,
mhm.
because they don't know. They just don't know. They think that we have to pretend everything's all right, especially guys. You know, we make jokes of everything and pretend everything's all right, but then like men are, I forgot the term, but they're like crumbling inside. It's like quiet desperation, I believe is the term. Is like you just sit there in your own solitude, in your own negative thoughts, and it's just you, and you think it's normal too, which is the worst part.
I highly agree with that. You know, men are supposed to be masculine. Men are supposed to be the strong ones, and I agree with all that. But if something is not feeling right, you should do something about it.
Yeah.
Why live in a mindset and a lifestyle of putting up a facade, putting up the second or third mask, whatever it is, and not just being authentic and be like, hey, you know what? I'm masculine. I am a man, but I need some help with something. I think that's the hardest part. I lowered my ego
Yeah.
And I checked that. I'm like, let me hang that off to the side for a second. Let me be vulnerable. Let me open up. Let me be authentic, be real, and see where this takes me. Because what I was doing before the entire time was not working. It was not I wasn't a miserable person, but I wasn't a happy person. I'm like, there's got to
Yeah.
be a better life. So
Here we are.
change. Yeah, the change.
I love the way you phrased it. It's very like stoic, but like you had more of a like the rose glasses lens on life. I remember the Condo season, and it was like you were just unstoppable. It didn't matter what happened. What you figured out during that season was it's not about what happens, it's how I respond. And if I can respond, and especially like with a Condo, it's either you have two choices in life. This is basically it when it comes down to anything perspective based or mindset. You have two choices in life. Literally, at any given time, you either accept or you pivot to solution. So you could just accept, oh yeah, there's a leak in the kitchen or in the bathroom, and that's all I could just accept it and I can live in a nice little river, or I can pivot to solution, right? And especially like with construction, what I was saying is you have to pivot to solution. But what people do is that the problem will happen and they bury themselves in stress and anxiety, the victim mindset of why is this happening to me? This is so horrible. This, and then the experience kind of just buries them. And the walls start collapsing in, not the Condo walls, but like the walls of their mental fortitude start collapsing in. And then they're complaining to everybody or they're being silent and just managing the stress and anxiety and stuff. What you did, and we teach, is you go from problem to solution and you bypass the emotional kind of spot that dip there. You may get a little stressed for a second
Of
or
course.
even half a day or a couple hours, but you don't like marinate it forever. You just see that, okay, I'm a little stressed, I'm a little upset, and that's okay. I can be that. I'm human. And let me vent. Let me go do the workout. Let me go shoot my guns. Let me go do whatever I got to do to kind of purge that, get a good night's sleep, and then I'm going to pivot to solution. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's what you did so well. And then when you build momentum in that, you're actually building neuroplasticity for your mind to function in that capacity. But what happened externally? The problems, they didn't like linger. They didn't last. It was just like pop, 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 pop. Like you just kind of got through stuff, right? From what I remember.
So if I can share a story with you, because
Yeah.
you brought up water in the kitchen, I was getting ready to leave and the painter was painting. I took one step and all I heard was whoosh.
Yeah. The worst sound.
I'm like,
Yeah, you want to hear it.
that's not normal.
Yeah.
And we thought it was the refrigerator, the ice, the ice
Yeah.
maker was melting and it was leaking. And I'm like, I don't think this is not normal. And so I moved it. I moved the fridge, pulled it all the way out, and I looked on the ground, and there was puddles. It was a puddle, and I grabbed the rag and I was turning it. And I was doing paper towels. We were doing everything we can, and something told me to open up the baseboard heater cover. And once I did that, a line of water was streaming out, flooding my entire
Like a
kitchen.
fountain. Jeez.
Yeah. So what happened is when he was drilling the heater cover on, he punctured a hole into the water line
Oh,
and it started to leak. Now, I remember the story very good because I remember how I responded to this. And I actually said, I'm proud of you because that was the biggest hiccup I had here. And I immediately went into, I have to take care of this right now. There's no like tomorrow. So I ended up ripping off about 400 square feet of my kitchen, brand new vinyl flooring. It was cork on the bottom. It got soaked and it started to seep up. I called my carpenter. I'm like, hey, this is a situation. He's like, oh, just let it dry. I looked at him. I was like, no, I'm not going to let it dry. It's got to come out. I'm not going to have this soaking, vinyl flooring. I called my friend. I said, do you have those big fans, that can help? He's like, yeah. wouldn't pick up the fans, dried it all up, even to the point of it wasn't my fault what happened. It was the carpenter's fault. And all I said is, I'm going to go buy it more. I'm not going to ask you to pay for it. I just want you to install it. He came in the next day and installed brand new floor. So some people be like, no, you should have charged him. I never wanted him or anybody that was coming into my home to work in a negative mindset. I didn't want that bad energy in there. So when the painter came in, I was like, hey, I want to paint my bedroom one color and I want to do the wall. He's like, well, I'm Chris, there's changes now and, I'm going to have to charge. I said, how much do you need? He's like, it's going to be another $200-300. Here's 400. Thank you. So that changed everything. Then he changed all my doors. He went above and beyond. He fixed a bunch of things in here. So I wouldn't have thought like that back in the day. I'd be angry. I'd be like, this guy's charging me extra. Why the hell did he not pay attention?
I'm getting scared.
How did he punch? Yes, all that. But
all this stuff is happening to me instead of for me. Yeah.
Mhm.
This is brilliant.
Mhm.
So I want to make a connection there. You had this condo. Why this that you wanted to treat like so special with the energy and everything? Was it because you were going to live there and make it your home?
this is my home.
Yeah.
I don't want any negativity. I don't want any bad juju or whatever it might be. And I made that decision at the beginning before anyone started. So I had very close friends of mine come over here and rip down the ceiling in my bedroom in here. We loaded up 50 bags, those big black garbage bags,
Yeah.
50 bags of like plaster, super heavy. I had 7 of my cop friends help me carry and pass up to the second. I live on the second floor. Pass up the drywall.
The drywall.
Smacking it up near. I mean, I made a phone call to him like, hey, I need your help. And everyone just showed up.
Yeah.
My boss too, he came with one of his workers. Excuse me. And the guy's like, yeah, we're going to rip this down. He's like, don't worry about it. He's like, just buy the material. I'll help you put everything up. And it just kept snowballing. I'm like, I was feeling this glow of energy like I've never, ever felt before. And nothing could go wrong. Nothing. I don't care if there's a huge hole in my wall for some reason. It didn't matter.
I mean, this thing did go wrong. There was things going wrong all the time, like the water and everything, but it wasn't a problem for you. And this is such a great window into what it really means to have this healthy mindset. Is there's 2 things that I love about what you're saying. Is that you treated this project really importantly because it was your home, but think about anything like somebody's career or a relationship. That's our home. Like that's our time where we spend our time and it's sacred. And people will go into work and they'll find all the problems. They'll try to look for the fault and the flaws and who to blame to like position themselves in that victim mindset, in that imprisoned mindset. And then from that space, they have to dwell in that circumstance, being the victim, but it's self-imposed. This stuff's not happening to us. It's just happening. But we take it personal. There's that great book, The 4 Agreements. Don't take anything personal, right? Don't take anything personal. And so you were navigating this. One, it was this sacred sanctuary because it's your home. So you were like, I don't want the energy in. So whatever happens, I'm going to accept or problem solve. And you were able to do that. That is replicatable. I don't know if that's a word. You can replicate that mindset literally in anything that you do in life. Like if you're dating this girl, or if you want to start this side hustle, or if you want to start a band or a family relationship or your own personal health and wellness, if you go with exactly what Christos said is, I'm not going to allow any negativity. This is my home. And I'm just going to either accept or problem solve. And I'm going to do whatever I can to make the best situation. That's literally the recipe for success on navigating that day by day by day and choosing the response. And how good did it feel actually working through those problems and being successful. Like afterwards, a lot of people would go solve the problem, and afterwards they wouldn't even take the time to relish that they were successful or fixed it. They go on to the next problem. What did you do after that stuff was happening?
I accepted every situation as the situation. Once that was fixed, whatever it might have been, if I needed to go buy doors or I needed extra, it did not matter. It's what problems do we have? This one, good. After that, let you guys work, leave them alone. There's no problems. They were always here. They were on time. I think it was one time in the 3, 4 months where he's like, I'm going to be there. And he called me. He's like, hey, I'm not going to make it because I'm working downtown. So I said, no problem. It doesn't matter. It's okay. Like,
And I recall something you bringing about doors. There was a story about you went door shopping. You went like searching for doors and you went into one place and the guy was like just right away not your energy. And you kind of felt that. I remember you telling me about it afterwards. You're like, I walked in, I talked to him, and he was just rude. And I wasn't rude back. I was just kind of like observing his rudeness and being very matter of fact with my questions. And then you left and then you went to another place and the guy like hooked you up and took good care of you because you allowed that energy instead of trying to fight with where you thought you were originally supposed to go, but you felt the energy there, went through the experience and said, I don't have to choose this for myself. I'm going to go over here and investigate. What am I remembering this correctly?
yeah, you nailed it. It's a great memory. I remember exactly where it was. It was on Grand Avenue. And I walked in excited. I'm shopping for doors. I'm like looking
Yeah,
forward to
yeah.
this. Let's see what kind of options you have. And he disregarded me so bad that I stopped in my head. I'm like, you don't deserve this. Whatever issue's going on right now, it has nothing to do with me, right? The four agreements, don't take it personal.
No.
I didn't have to, I didn't sit there and accept his negativity. In my head, I was like, I'm not accepting that. It's not for me. I'm going to go somewhere else. I ended up going to DARPA, I think it's called. I the selection was better. The place was a brand new facility. I found everything I wanted. The people were extremely helpful, and they were giving me discounts. You know, it wasn't a lot, maybe a couple $100, but hey, a couple $100 goes a long way. So
Yeah.
it was,
And it's such a good, this is what I always tell people they don't understand. It's hard, especially for people dating out there where they end up with the person that they're not meant to be with and that person's not treating them very well. When we reject something, we establish our value because we go, I'm worth more than that. Just like you said, like my value is greater than this experience. So I have to reject it. If I'm with, dating a person or something like that, and I get treated in a way that's really not aligned with how I want to be treated, and this isn't just a one off, this is like, red flag number 2 or 3, you have to quickly reject, but people don't because they go, I'm going to force myself through this experience. Like finding the doors. You could have been like, whatever, I'll just stay here and stick it up, stick through it and shop. And then I'm getting an argument with the guy and there's no discount. And the whole experience is super negative, but we didn't reject it. And so anything in life with you're working at like an establishment where you have your job and it may not be your career, it may not be the forever place, or you're in a relationship and you're just noticing that you want to be treated in a different capacity and that what is happening experiential wise and circumstance wise is not aligned with your value, reject. And then what the universe, spirit, God does is it goes, give it to him again, potentially. And then you have to reject again because it's like saying, "No, I don't want this." And the universe is like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? You sure you don't have any second thoughts?" It's like, "No, no. I definitely am worth more." And what we're saying, what we're broadcasting, transmitting to the ether out there, to the quantum is, "I'm worth more than this. My vibrational fingerprint is higher. My frequency is higher, so I want a better aligned experience." And when you situated yourself in that store, just shopping for doors, That's what you broadcasted. That's the message. So then when you left, basically God created the experience for you to have a more pleasant experience because you said, I'm worth more than this. And people can do that anywhere in their life and give it a little bit of grace, a little bit of momentum, if it's something bigger. And you will see that when you really do that, but with humility, with gratitude, you weren't like, fuck these guys in the door place, this piece of shit. You're just like, it has nothing to do with me. I'm not taking it personal. You established what you were worth and you rejected, but not out of anger and spite and resentment. It was out of kind of just indifference in a sense of this just has nothing to do with me. This is this guy having a bad day and I really don't want this experience for myself. So I'm just going to leave. There wasn't just, you're not having to be so compassionate and be like, hey, can I save this man? Can I help? Can I mindset coach him and give him a hug? No, you're just like, dude, I'm just going to leave. Right. And then when you do that with humility, with compassion, with love, you reject, that's really the top pinnacle of that vibration, of that frequency of our conscious state of being that we say, I'm worth more. And it's not out of ego, it's out of humility and self-respect. This is what I value for myself. This is what I'm worth. So I'm going to reject this because I know something better is out there. And now I'm going to go find it. And that's exactly what you did. Another amazing perspective. That and can you apply this literally anywhere in your life?
Yes,
Yeah,
I have.
100%. Yeah.
You have to. You really can't take anything personal. I know that phrase is thrown around a lot, but you really can. I want to go back to something that you were talking about with people in general, including myself at one point, where we're getting treated bad in a relationship, whether it's work, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. And you know the right thing is to walk away, but you stay for
Mhm.
reasons of I can change her, it'll get better,
Yeah.
or the biggest one I believe is you get a sense of comfort. You get really comfortable with a person. You're like, whatever it is, I'm gonna make this work. And I did that a lot. Like the
Yeah.
girls I dated were all great girls, but there was nothing there. There was no depth. There was not too much. Um, and I knew that. I just lost my train of thought.
The comfortability that you kind of just like
Comfortability.
stick with. Yeah, you kind of
Yes.
stick with that experience
Mhm.
because of the
So
the, the comfortability.
the comfortability is what I experienced, and that's what happened with the last girl I started dating. And I told myself when I started dating after that, I'd gone on plenty of dates with girls. Some lasted one night, and I'm like, this is not going to work out because it's not going. I felt it. Others lasted for a week, month, couple months, but I wasn't scared to walk away. I wasn't afraid of being sincere. I wasn't rude. I wasn't bad. I mean,
Mhm.
girls were telling me, thank you for being so kind and letting me down softly. I'm not here to hurt people, but I just realized that you can't settle just for comfort because you just want to be with somebody. And I've already established 1 month into this girl. Like, I want to make it work. I told myself, you got to be real with yourself. Like, do you see a future? Is this someone you can be with? And, you just think about that stuff. And none of them were clicking. None of them.
Yeah.
And I'm
And it's such
happy
a
that I
it,
walked away from that.
it's such a good point because a lot of people look at like being in a relationship that if they give up, then they wasted all the time that they had with that person. And it's such a kind of asinine way to view things. Like if they were in it for a year, they go, I didn't want to give up because we had been together for a year, so I didn't want that to be a waste. It's like, well, how can you equate that as a waste? Like that's like having a 12-course meal and then on dessert it gets a little gross. And you're like, "Oh, now the whole meal's a waste." Like, "No, no, 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 just that bite
Mhm.
sucks." But the whole thing did provide something to you leading up to that point where it stopped working. And so you see that I gained so much from this. I had love shared and memories and fondness and laughter and excitement and beauty and adventures and all that stuff. But we look at it as a waste, and it doesn't make any sense. It's just like driving around a car for a whole year and it gets you to and fro and then it breaks down. You're like, oh, what a waste that whole year. It's like, what are you talking about, man? It got you and
Yeah.
did the job. It served you for what it was. But I think what I'm finding too more of when with coaching people and teaching people with this stuff is they get scared that if they don't fight and try to force this thing to work, if they just settle for whatever it is, they're scared that if they don't take this, nothing better will come. It's a scarcity, fear-based lack mentality that if I don't reject this, or there's nothing better going to come into my real life to replace it. So I'd rather have the bad relationship than none at all. When in actuality, what rejection does with humility, with compassion, with self love, it goes, I'm rejecting this because I know something better is in line to come into my life. And that is just the differentiating factor there. Variable is either people believe that this is it and there's nothing else coming, or they say this isn't good enough. Therefore, let me move this out of the way to receive the better thing. And it's just a negative versus positive mindset.
Very much so. Relationships are something. We stay in them too long. Fear of hurting someone, fear of not being able to find somebody else. But if you just look at it in the basic way, if someone's not treating you right, why do you stay? Now, mind you, if this is your wife, go get some counseling.
Yeah, you got to work at it a little bit for sure. You
Yeah.
don't just throw in the towel on a Tuesday.
Exactly. Exhausted on a Tuesday. Exhausted. Like I told one
Dirty
of my
dishes
friends
in the
that,
sink again.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I told one of my friends when he's like, hey, I'm thinking about divorcing my wife, which she ended up doing. I said, before you do that, make sure you exhaust every option to make it work. This is your wife. She's not your girlfriend. Um, and he did. He tried counseling. He tried to work it out with her, and it wasn't meshing. So he's like, hey, it's time for us to part because this is not going right. Now, that's the same thing with when you're dating girls. The stuff that I've learned from talking with you and about myself is just respect yourself.
Yeah.
Don't put them up on a pedestal. Have some self-respect and know that there's something better out there. If that person's so negative and toxic, it has nothing to do with you. I believe that it's the way you were raised, your past experiences, maybe childhood trauma, whatever it might be. But we shouldn't try to, and I'm speaking to myself too now, is that I thought I can change everybody and try to help everybody. And I'm going to make this work. It, it, if I can take the knowledge I have now and bring it back then, I would have been a lot shorter with people, and
Yeah.
cut them off. But I didn't have that self-worth or respect for myself at the time. I felt like they were it and that was it. And I just wanted to be with them because I got comfortable. Now I don't settle. It's because of self-worth. I realized you were teaching me that self-worth. I'm worthy of love, I'm not worthy of getting yelled at and mistreated and getting cheated on and everything else that comes along with these negative relationships. But at the very same time, while you're going through this stuff, I was hurt plenty of times and I went through some very bad months, very long months. I mean, it was horrific. But at the same time, whatever situation you go through in life, it's only making you stronger if you understand that it's making you stronger.
Yeah.
Every situation teaches you something, from the girl that I dated for 6 months to 3 years to a week, whatever. I always try to take something positive away from it, no matter how it ends. and just learn. This is for myself. Kind of, it's selfish. Like, what did I get out of this? What did I learn? How can I be better? Where could I been better in this situation? You
I
start
don't
asking
think it's
yourself those
selfish.
questions.
Yeah, I don't think it's selfish, but you are on the money with that stuff, man. Like, this is our movie. Like, this is our story. We have to be equipped with that perspective. That's not the only perspective. You were obviously trying to do things to be kind and compassionate and loving to
Mhm.
this other person. That was your intention, probably the part of the time or the whole time, but a lot of people aren't equipped with that. Again, it's basically negative versus positive mindset. Negative being, this is happening to me. This is a bad experience. She cheated on me. I'm the victim, blah, blah, blah. And then same person in the same exact circumstance, positive mindset, empowered mindset goes, what what did I do in a sense where I'm navigating this where I can learn from it so that, yes, it happened and it's a circumstance, but how can I look at this event to know moving forward where to maybe catch it a little bit sooner, where to see some writing on the walls, looking for the red flags, because usually it's not just like completely out of the blue. There's some sign, some stuff that kind of leads up to, even if it's just like a guttural feeling of uncomfortability or uncertainty. There's that stuff that happens, but you're either looking at life through the lens of what am I gaining and learning from, which makes us the hero and it makes us empowered, or you're looking at life and saying, this is happening to me and I am the victim. And say it's the exact same circumstance and it's the same person. There's just like a split reality, right? And one man is negative minded, the other person is positive. Who's having a better quality of experience? Let's say it's exactly the same. Girl cheats on him. The guy being positive, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this? His life is just better, hands down. The negative, same thing happens, and the bad thing happens, and he goes, "Woe is me. She's, this and that, and I'm the victim, and sucks, and now I'm, building resentment towards women." What is his energy? What's his mindset? How is he walking into new relationships? How disgruntled is he going to work the next few days or weeks,
Mhm.
right? And so his life gets drastically demoted in quality, reduced in quality, while the person with the positive mindset sees that as an obstacle that they're going to learn from. And then right away, they switch into acceptance or solution, and their life is still good. It's not amazing, but it's a heck of a lot, probably 100-fold better than a negative mindset because all of life, it's perspective. All this stuff is happening. You're getting leaks going into your water and things happening over here and women cheating on you and things at work happening. Like it's all but it's a matter of perspective. Those things aren't happening to you. They're just happening. And the people who say they're happening for me are the ones who are really empowered, who live the best quality life. And one thing that you said was brilliant, and I always tell people to use this, and we used this together too, was when you said to your buddy to exhaust all opportunity with his wife. It is in line with using regret as a compass. That, okay, you're with your wife and you're having some trouble and you're feeling like maybe this isn't it. In that moment, you have to ask yourself, if I take myself into the future after the divorce has happened and I look back at this moment right now, will I regret not working harder to try to create solution? Will I regret doing something or not doing something? So you go to the future and you use hindsight to be like, will I regret doing something right now or not doing something right now? And that helps us give clarity on whether we need to reject or commit and accept, especially with something like as important as a marriage. But maybe a dating relationship where you're like, man, I'm kind of uncertain. There's been a few orange flags, and I feel like maybe I need to throw in the towel. And you go, okay, let's take ourselves 6 months from now, and you look back at this very moment. Will I regret just ending it? And if you feel there is absolutely zero regret, it gives you the peace of mind. It gives you a clear consciousness to move forward with that decision. But if there's a sliver of regret where you're like, yeah, I don't know, for something's telling me that I would regret this, even if it's just 1%, then you have to exhaust all opportunity. And then once you do that, ask yourself again, now with that being done, will I regret? And then check the regret meter. Check that gauge and see if there's a little bit there or not. And it's a really excellent compass for living life when you have these bigger decisions. I was just helping a man whose wife has we don't know terminal, but stage 4 cancer. And he was telling me a lot of the stuff, with our shared past and me having to navigate that. And I go, they're having some conversations, and it's not to say that everything's done, but things are a little bit tricky right now. And he's telling me, we want to do this, we want to do that. And I go, I want to know what you would regret not doing. And he's like, that makes everything so clear. And he had a conversation with his wife afterwards and was like, that really helped us have the intention to move forward and plan our life accordingly based on living life to the fullest right now. And it was transformative for him in a big way. So you have done that in a lot of ways, and you're continuing to do that. But I'll
Yeah.
ask you now, any regret with the girl you're dating now on holding back, potentially saying things, not saying things? Is there anything there?
I feel like every relationship I've gone through is prepped me for the girl that I'm dating right now. It's easy to be with her, and people say like you kind of just know. And I've never felt like this about a girl. It's she's a beautiful girl, but I'm attracted to her, but I'm more attracted to her character, her personality, the way she's loving and caring towards me. No games, sincere. She's a businesswoman. I'm sorry, she's a doctor. So she's not a girl that plays around. And if it feels good to meet somebody and have the same standards like myself, it's like we're mirroring each other. And it's a beautiful thing. And for the first time, I was anxious at the beginning because I was a little confused and like, is she not into me? Or I was trying to figure this out, and I was driving myself a little crazy, but I always stopped myself. I was like, you're overthinking, you're doing it again. Everything's gonna be fine. She likes you. You guys had a great time on both those dates. And 10 minutes later, she's calling. She's like, hey, sorry, I was on the phone with my girlfriend. She went through a hard time. So you got to catch yourself in these moments of negativity.
Talk about
And
that, yeah, for everybody. Explain the process that we kind of created for you when you find yourself in this negative space where you're overthinking or you're wrangling negative thoughts. What do you do?
so is this the 10 step that you gave me to do?
Whatever it is that you did when you were having the thoughts about her not calling or something like that.
So whatever I did in my past has helped me become who I am now. So the way I thought, the way I acted, the way I felt, and I just let my mind just run. I stopped myself. I had this small conversation in my head of like,
Yeah.
you don't know what's going on. You have no idea if something happened. You're over assuming. You're anxious right now. Take a deep breath and just relax. The more calm I am in any situation, everything goes my way. And I'm talking about 100% of the time. Because in any situation, if I'm calm, if it turns out to be bad or good, either way, I'm winning because I'm teaching myself how to stay calm in situations. There's no need for me to overreact and get excited about something that I have no idea about.
Yeah.
I don't want to drive myself crazy like that anymore. Now, what I do is I constantly, check myself, and it's not like I hit a pinnacle. I'm like, oh, this is it. I figured it out. It's
No, no, yeah.
it's
I'm the same way,
constantly
man. It's
working
not
at it.
like
Yeah.
you're not like, oh,
So
cool. I don't have to work out biceps anymore. I did those.
yeah,
Like they're good for life.
exactly.
No, you're always
So
working the muscle out.
always
Yeah.
working. So get back to what we were saying prior about situations in life. Are they happening to me? Are they happening for me? You know, just if you ask these small questions, it's such a game changer. It really is. Instead of trying to, always feeling like the victim, and we play the victim role because it's familiar, it's comfortable. I know what this is. I'm going to go back to this. But if you take a step on the other side and be like, I don't have to think like that anymore. Nothing's going on. Everything's great. Like the situation happened, life goes on. We're moving forward. So mindset, perspective, it's a constant, you're constantly working at it, constantly. And
Yeah.
life will give you
Yeah.
situations
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. You don't have to worry
so
about that.
yeah, so life is always happening. So just accept that. And how do we respond? You want to respond, not react. And I
Yeah.
used to be a reactor. Now I am a responder. One thing that I've noticed myself doing a lot is I was a reactor. I was a firecracker. Now I'll take a moment, take a deep breath. And if the girl, my friend, situation, business, whatever it is, I'll take a step, I'll take a deep breath and just take a pause. That pause, that 1 second pause, can change the dynamic of the way you feel in that situation at that moment. So I would rather stay calm and express how I feel in a calm way rather than exploding and getting angry and possibly getting into a fight. And then I'm flustered for the next day or two because can you believe this guy? Like, you can control you. You can't control other people, right? You can't do that. It's impossible. People think we can, you can't. But you have control over your own mind. If you want to do better, you will. It's not easy. If you need help, get it. It's worth it. And I suggest that everybody works at it. I really do.
Yeah.
You know,
It is
take
definitely
baby
like a,
steps.
yeah. Yeah. And it's not, just learn the basics and then grow from there. And your life will always give you kind of the next level of the obstacle course for you to work on and how you're going to respond to that. So I want to ask something. How has this affected your spirituality? And if you're comfortable talking a little bit about your faith and what mindset has done for that. Because a lot of people don't talk about that as much because they treat it as two different kind of segments when I very much think they're the same. But I want to know how that's impacted your faith, this new perspective, this new shiny mindset.
How did this, you mean spiritually? Like,
Yeah, how did it affect you spiritually?
it changed everything. My stress levels, my anxiety, my overthinking, uh, any negative trait that a lot of humans hold on to have, I have learned to curb them. And what it's done for me spiritually, it's elevated my mind and my soul to be a better person for myself and for my future spouse. So that's where I feel spirituality comes in. I also believe in God. I don't read the Bible as often as I should, but I do have faith. I do believe. I do pray. I do everything I possibly can um, to keep myself elevated, just like everything else too. It's not like you read the Bible and you're done. You got to study it, just like yourself. You got to keep working at it. There's always something, you can always better yourself throughout your entire life. You can always do something to do that.
Has it strengthened your faith?
It has, because now I believe that there's good out there. There's positive, you know,
Yeah.
and it just comes down to perspective. And it's really changed a lot of things for me. I mean, on my day-to-day basis, how you perceive a situation, a person, like it just doesn't, once in a while I get, a little upset about things, but not like I was before, you know, dealing with somebody on a pedestrian in the street that bumps into me, using this as an example. And I would get very defensive and hard and be one. Now it's like, excuse me, even if it wasn't my fault, excuse me, because it does something for me. Selfishly, I think it's for me, I'd rather just let it go because it's not that serious. I'm not going to see this person ever again ever in my life again. So it's not a big deal. It's the perspective that we have on life that can help you change everything.
Yeah, this is fascinating. And now that you're talking a little bit, I'd love for anybody listening, watching to hear and see the lens on positive, empowered mindset, that stoic mindset, that higher perspective, as I say, for a policeman. What does that look like? Can you talk about maybe potentially what you were before, and then after all of your own self development, all the work that you did individually that we did together, how did that now affect your profession?
I approach everything in a different way. Before, because you have that power to, restrict someone's freedom, and put them in jail, and everything was um, an egotistical challenge. Whether it was I'm dealing with a male or females, it was always personal. I always had this edge, like I have to be this way. Now it's conversational. I'm very understanding of people. I understand situations. I understand cultures. I understand how life is happening for them. One great thing that I've learned is to take a moment and put yourself in that other person's shoes and try to understand where they're coming from. You know, so it's it's really helped me become a better police officer, but it also has helped me in general. You get tested while you're out there, right? Life is always happening.
Oh yeah, I bet.
So, I mean, here, dude, for the DNC
I'll
last
say, yeah. Do you have any stories?
for the DNC last year, we were hands on a lot. Um, but everything that I did was in a calm manner. We had to go hands on a couple of times. Batons were out and they were throwing rocks and starting fires and all that stuff. While everybody was kind of chaotic internally, I had my just relax. You'll see everything much better. You'll see situations better. You can pick up on people. And I was just this guy floating around, just taking care of business all around, helping everybody out any which way I possibly can. But once again, you look at this stuff and it's there's nothing to do with you. Nothing. They hate you because you're wearing the uniform, but it's nothing to do with you
Yeah,
personally.
personally. What would what if everybody in the force woke up with your perspective and mindset? How would that change the dynamics of relationships and like the approach to the job and
Well,
everything?
the relationships you would build would be different if you come from more of a understanding, compassionate mindset. It would change a lot. I mean, I believe communities would be more open and welcome to officers being around, because right now we're viewed as the bad guy, but yet we're always called to situations that are not good,
Yeah.
right? So we're always there, willing to help. We're answering the call. Um, but getting back to what you said about what would it change, it'd be like a utopia, you know. It would be something. It would, but The job is challenging. It has a lot of challenges.
For sure.
If you have to learn how to control yourself. In this job, there's always something happening where you feel the need to do something, but you don't always have to do something. It's good to take a step back once in a while and let things be, you know.
Are you sharing this perspective and like either subtly or very bluntly trying to help your colleagues when you notice that somebody may be, suffering as you once were potentially?
Yeah, so I was working around a lot of younger guys, and I would point things out to them, and they started calling me dad because I was working with a bunch of 25-year-olds. So, and they're like, "How are you so?" Yeah, they're like, "How are you so positive? And how can you act this way?" I'm like, "Because I don't let it bother me." I said, "I know who I am. Whatever they're projected onto me has nothing to do with me. I'm not accepting that negativity. They can keep it. I don't care. As soon as I take this uniform off and I go home, it's over. I don't bring my problems home. I don't stress about work when I come home. I just shut it down completely."
This is so powerful. So,
Mhm.
what would you tell any police officers out there that are having a bit of stress and anxiety beyond what's manageable for them? Like, what are some applicable techniques or just perspective mindset based that you would help them integrate into their life to make a positive change? I know you listed a couple, but like just getting kind of more structure here for them to take away.
So I'll go back to what you got me doing is meditation. And our minds are constantly running. There's always something to think about, do, stress, work, driving home angry. I need to rush to do something, kids, games, all that stuff. Find the time to meditate. Let your mind be still. And the more I did that, the more I noticed myself in everyday life, I was more at ease. I wasn't so riled up all the time.
Mhm.
I think that helped me the absolute most. There's a lot of other work that you had me do that definitely took it to another level. But I think for a basic thing, meditation would probably, and you don't have to start off, 30 minutes or an hour. There's plenty of things out there that you can do for 5 minutes and 10
5 minutes,
minutes.
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So it's just taking the time for you. Like you have to do these things.
It's like the
You get too
gym
caught up.
for your muscles, right? Like meditation, I feel like is gym time for the mind,
Mhm.
but in the way where you go to the gym and you're actively doing a bunch of stuff, like lifting the weights. It's the opposite because in meditation, we're always thinking. So we're always doing all the heavy lifting mentally throughout our day. I got to go run the errands, got to go with the kids, like you said, do this, do that. And meditation is like the anti gym where we're like, we're going to sit in the gym and not do shit. We're not going to do anything and just allow ourselves to acquaint ourselves with the space between thoughts. It's not that we're going to stop thinking, but just to try to understand what it means when we have a space between thoughts and to see if we can lengthen that and deepen that awareness and possibly acquaint ourselves with that experience. And then you may have some revelation, some understanding. And then that is doing the exercise to train your mind to reside in the silence between thoughts so that when you get a thought and you're out there hitting the streets and you're doing whatever and something triggers you and your mind goes take action, do this, scream, yell, be angry, be stressed, anxious, blah, and it's brrr, you go stop thinking for a second and then everything just kind of settles
Mhm.
and then you can go can we accept or are we going to pivot to solution? And that's what meditation does, truly, is it trains the mind for you to not be like torn down the rabbit hole with thought. You can be like, no, I'm not going to do that. But we have to kind of train it. And that's why meditation does that, and it's such a really powerful practice. So I love that advice. Is there anything else that you would recommend for somebody just kind of getting started in this to learn meditation? What else, if anything? Talk to Joe.
Talk
Yeah.
talk to Joe would be one of your best moves ever. Um, even something I thought I would never do. I started journal,
Yeah.
putting your thoughts down on a piece of paper and writing it out. It's You can do it on your laptop or a desktop, but it's not the same as sitting there and just letting it all out. It's just you and your thoughts and they're coming out. Um, and that was very big for me. Journaling, meditating, and I would always go out for a walk by myself. No headphones,
Self-care. Yep.
no headphones, no nothing. Just listen to nature, be present, and just be present is probably one of the most important things. Is we're constantly out, you're walking, but you're like, I got to go here and I got to do this. It's like, just enjoy the moment because this is all we really have. Enjoy there's sun out. It's a beautiful day. Um, it's a great neighborhood that you're walking through. Just whatever it is, just be present. So those are some of the
Dude,
things that
you
really
got
helped
this
me.
stuff figured out. I mean, we haven't talked for a while. I don't know how long, but you know what you're talking about, man. Like you definitely got your finger on the pulse here. It's awesome. Presence is salvation because when we are present, we recognize that a lot of the problems are happening in the mind and not actually in the reality. And when we come to presence, we drop the inner reality and we come to the external reality and we go, nothing's happening. Nothing that I can't handle. Even if this person's yelling at me right now, it's for a second. I'm going to walk away from this and I won't be doing that anymore. And the thing is, we will carry it with our mind. It will linger for hours and we stop and you're present. You're teaching your mind through neuroplasticity and with spirituality that this is where I want to reside, in the presence. And if I'm in the presence, then I'm going to find examples of life being pretty grand, pretty beautiful, pretty peaceful. It's not going to be like a big theme park. It's just going to be peaceful most of the
Yep.
time. And that peace is infinitely better than the negativity and the stress and the anxiety that we're dealing with internally, even though we could be walking through a Japanese Zen garden. We're not seeing any of that stuff because we're all up in our heads and our mind. So, I mean, I love these three. And I mean, dude, you're a rock star. Meditation, journaling, and presence, and taking active time to be present, just going for a walk. And you live in the city, you live in Chicago. Like people are like, oh no, I have to be out, by a river in the redwoods. It's like, no, you don't need to because you're going to find the beauty wherever you go as long as you are present. So these are just phenomenal things, of advice and everything. And so one other thing I have questions on is I want to know you are 45 and you got a hard kind of heartbreak with the ex that just basically cold turkey shut things down. And now here you are. And you seem pretty excited. And we've had some real talks about conversations about dating and this and that. And I've never heard the level of appreciation that you have for this girl that you're seeing now. And a lot of people lose hope because they get shut down. They have a hard time. They don't find somebody or they do, and they're not aligned. And it takes a certain level of resilience, doesn't it? And determination. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about your faith with believing that this can still happen for me.
Let me start off by saying there is hope, and you got to believe. And your age doesn't matter. Like I said, I'm 45. I'll be 46 in a couple weeks, but it really doesn't matter. So all those negative extra thoughts are like, well, I got to rush. I got to do. And if it's not, I had to stop all that and be open And I also understand that a lot of my friends were like, "Oh, there's no good girls out there. They're all taken, this, that." And I would always make a point to say, "No, that's false. Don't say all girls. There's a lot of great women out there right now that are looking for great men, but we're so hard-headed and stubborn that we don't allow ourselves to be open up to the right person." So that's what I feel like has happened with this girl. It's kind of happened, I like to use the word organically,
Mhm.
how we met and how the relationship's going right now. It's it feels at ease. Like there's never really an issue with anything. I know it's been 2 months only, but usually there'd be some sort of friction, some sort of disagreement. And I'm not saying that it won't happen in the future, but we mirror each other. We're adults. There's a different line of respect for one another. She knows I'm sincere, genuine, loving, and caring. She's seen it, she's felt it all. And I feel that from her too. It's hard to find people like that in this world, but believe me, if at the age of 45, I feel like I found the one, I'm the happiest guy. It doesn't matter.
I love that, man. And there's something really powerful and important about what you said. It's hard when you're around people that are highlighting the negativity. It's called limiting beliefs. The dating pool sucks. There's no good women out there. They're all sleeping around, or the men are all ghosting us. And it doesn't matter, but they equate the circumstance as to being limiting. The circumstance is crap and they won't win, they won't triumph. And so by having that perspective and that belief, that is the reality they are creating for themselves.
Mhm.
It's not happening and then they're just part of it. They're actually manifesting, creating, influencing that reality to be that way. So when you have the limitation of there's no good people out there, then you're going to have a really hard time meeting somebody because God, the universe spirit, is keeping the good prospects from you because law of attraction. We are just simply creating that experience for ourselves. So, with Chris's mindset, when you go, no, I believe there's a beautiful person, I believe there's a soulmate out there. I'm not giving up hope and faith. I know that woman, that man, that person's out there looking for me. Then you're telling God, bring that experience to me. And God will listen and reflect that and go, that's what they're creating for themselves, then that's what they will get. But the thing is, we may get a series of potential good fits, but that's when we have to reject if it's not aligned because we know something is better. That if we reject, and a lot of people get scared because they get something a little bit better than the playboy or the horrible person, and then they don't reject. And they go, well, this was at least a little bit better, but they're still scared of nothing better coming. And so when you couple those together, you go, I'm not going to have any self-imposed limitations on what I believe for myself and what I want and what I deserve and what I can make happen. I believe true love is out there. And then you're going to find somebody. You're going to bump heads at the grocery store. You're going to connect on one of the dating apps. You're going to hit each other up on social media. And then as soon as you get these kind of serious red flags, you go, this is not for me. With humility, with compassion, with love, reject. And that is the recipe for success. And then you're just envisioning yourself in the future. That was a thing we worked on too, visualization and envisioning that future with this loving partner, because that's how we place the order. We see ourselves in the future. We go, that's my destiny. That's my fate. And however I get there, I don't really care. It's none of my business, but that's where I'm going. And that's what I believe. And so that is the other kind of missing link of that experience to manifest love, to find your one. And
Well,
it can happen.
you also have to want it. If you're just saying it just like, "Oh, man, there's no good girls," and if it happens, like, that's not the right mindset, I don't think at all. Because for me, I'm like, I know there's good girl out there. They're not all bad. I'm gonna find the one. I know it's gonna happen. And so I'm not lying to myself. I believe it because it's true. It really is true.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah, I love it, man. Well, this has been such a treat. And, you know, I think a lot of us listening and watching can find a lot of inspiration and support in Chris and our conversation today, that no matter what you want, if you are actively one, to recap, ready for change, that is the ignition. That is the spark. You have to want to change. So if you're out there dating, or you're just trying to get through life, or your career has plateaued, or you're not finding fulfillment, is this the experience you want for yourself? Truly. And if not, do you want to change? Are you dedicated enough to really want it and to make it happen? And then, like Chris said, seek help. You don't have to have this all figured out. There are infinite resources out there to help you train your mind so that you can be positive mindseted. You can master non attachment and gratitude and authenticity and manifestation. But these are all different principles of mindset and perspective that you can then implore to create a very different experience for yourself. And it's not to say problems won't happen, they just won't bury you anymore. And you'll kind of start seeing yourself as the hero or heroine, and saying, I got this. I got this. I could navigate this. And then through determination and resilience and setting goals, truly setting goals and believing you're worthy of those goals, you start putting all this stuff together. You're going to look back in 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and you're going to be like, holy shit, I'm a different person, and I kind of don't recognize who I was. And I'm almost a little bit embarrassed by being that person, but that's a whole nother negative mindset thing we won't get into. But you're going to celebrate who you've become, like Christos has done. And what an example, man. And it's been such a pleasure to walk alongside you and hear this update. You know, I just reached out to you on Instagram or whatever. I was like, dude, you want to be us? And here we are. And it just,
It happened
I'm
kind
very,
of
very
quick.
proud of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. But I'm very, very proud of you, man. You're just such a shining example of what can be done when you believe there's a different way to live, and then you believe in yourself to be able to do it, and you've done it. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for all your help
Of course,
and
man. Of
continuing
course.
help.
Of course. Well, we're gonna sign off now, and stick around, and you and I will chat just a little bit more. Thank you, everybody, and Christos, thank you especially.
Thank you very much.